In this video, let us learn about the different types of loads. So, various terms and definitions of loads. So, first one is connected load. So, in this connected load, we calculate the sum of rating of in kilowatts for each equipment installed by the consumer. And similarly, if the consumer connects 4 tubes of lights of 40 watts, 2 fan of 60 watts and 1 refrigerator of 400 watts, then the total connected load will be 4 into 40. That is, if the consumer connects 4 tube lights of 40 watts is 40 into 4 and 2 fan of 60 watts is 2 into 60. 1 refrigerator of 400 watts is 1 into 400. So connected load which calculates with the help of sum of rating in kilowatts of each equipment installed by the consumers. And the second definition is maximum load. So maximum load is defined by the maximum possible load when a consumer uses at any time. So whenever a consumer uses at any time, the most maximum possible load. So demand factor. So demand factor is defined as the ratio of maximum load to the connected load. That is maximum possible load which a consumer uses at any time. Maximum load over the any time to the connected load. That is the total ratings of each equipment by the consumers. Then average load. So the average load is defined as the ratio of energy consumed in 24 hours divided by 24. That is the total energy consumed by the consumer to the time period. That is said to be average load. And next one is load factor. The load factor is calculated by average load, that is total energy to the time period, and divided by maximum load or peak load. So maximum load, which is nothing but the maximum possible load when a consumer uses any time. So load factor is defined as the ratio of average load to the maximum load or peak load. That is average load is calculated by total energy consumption in 24 hours to the peak load of 24 hours. So generally load factor always less than unity. Then next one is diversity factors. So the diversity factor is defined as the ratio of sum of individual maximum demand to the simultaneous maximum demand. Then next one is maximum effective demand. So the maximum effective demand is calculated by connected load and demand factor to the diversity factor. Then peak diversity factor is calculated by maximum effective demand of consumer to the demand of consumer during the system of peak demand. Then system peak demand is calculated by the ratio of maximum effective demand to the peak diversity factor. So plant capacity factor is one of the most important factor for the load consumption calculation. So plant capacity factor, average load is calculated with the help of plant capacity. So the average load can be calculated in kilowatt hours generated in the year. That is the product of peak load and load factor to the plant capacity, which is nothing but it also calculated as the plant capacity factor as use factors and load factors. So plant capacity factor is calculated by use factor and load factor. The next one is plant use factor. So plant use factor is nothing but the ratio of annual energy produced to the capacity of plant and operating hours during the year. So reserve factor is calculated by load factor to the capacity factor. Then tariff. So there are different types of tariffs, depends upon the sources. So first one is flat demand tariff, second one is straight line meter tariff, third one is step meter rate, fourth one is black meter tariff, fifth one is two-part tariff, that we can say that Hopkinson demand rate, and next one is three-part tariff, that is Doherty rate. Then next one is right demand rate. So generally the tariff can be calculated as Z equal to AX plus BY plus C. So here the Z, which denotes the total amount of bill for the period considered. So for the particular period, the total amount of bill can be calculated. Then next one is X. So X, which denotes the maximum demand in kilowatt hours, and the Y, which denotes the energy consumed in kilowatt hour. A, which denotes the rate per kilowatt of maximum demand, and B, which denotes the energy rate per kilowatt hour. C, which denotes constant amount charged to the customer during billing independent of different demand or energy filling.